Hey guys, Farrell here, and I am hopping on to do a little bit of experimentation because, well, a new mod was released to the community just a little while ago, and I wanted to actually play around with it because it looks like it's pretty cool, and I think it's going to kind of revolutionize some of the stuff I've been doing with some of the fighter designs. Yet that's my kind of fleet in the background, along with a couple of, I've got one of Wasted's craft up there and everything, or a couple of his craft over there too. Kind of comparing designs, and what I wanted to do was just kind of fool around with the design, a new little mini fighter, but it's got one difference. That's right, this is the new HoverEngine mod, and I've actually paired this up with the plane parts mod, so kind of interested to see what this does, and I've already taken it out for a little bit of a test flight. And quite literally a flight, because I found out something particularly interesting. And that is, this mod kind of eliminates the need to worry about wheels or landing gear or slowing down for a decent landing. And I'm going to show you why, because we've got a nice flat surface here, ideal for takeoff. I have on this particular craft, just to give you an idea of what is going on, I have 3 hover engines. Apparently I grounded out one and managed to destroy it. And then I've got one large Atmo engine, and all these are set to their default values, so they want to keep you about 4 off the ground. This one's to keep you about 4 off the ground. And again, I've got a plane parts mod on here, and the wings on this, they're not actually ideal. They're all oriented off to the side. So as a side slip fighter, this would be doing pretty good, but not for really straightforward quite as much. And you know, not too bad of a overall design, because I'm pretty lightly armored here, just 2 GATs. She's also got actually a medium cargo container on the back, along with the connector, so she could actually dock up with something, but check this out. Now, this tilt to the left is because of the plane parts mods, which does kind of throw you off a little bit, but if we just kind of keep our nose fighting up here. Now, this is not an ideal fighter to be testing this on, because this thing, as you can tell, is power hungry. I do not have a large fusion reactor on this, and I really should if I want to do this right. But look at this. I mean, that was a nice smooth takeoff from the lake. I'm doing pretty good here. Yes, I'm throwing a ton of power, and honestly, I could probably turn off the hovers to save a little bit of power here. Let's just kind of come back around here. Not the most maneuverable of the ships that I've got, but she will do. Back. There we go. Let's just bring her back around and come down. Nice gentle landing here. So we're gonna keep a little bit of forward power going. So letting it drop off. Coming down to about 30. And look at that. Smooth as silk. In fact, you can even see she'll even take off going backwards and can land on a hillside. So I'm kind of interested to see what this can do. Now, like I said, one downside is I've got this weird little list going on. It doesn't quite handle... Oh, there's a little bit of a bump from the holes in the ground here. It doesn't quite handle the horizontal level all that great. You can kind of, once you get moving a little bit, you see that once I stop, I get a little bit of a list to the left again. But this is going to be, for a proof of concept, this is actually pretty darn good. I guess, yeah, I managed to lose the one on that side. So now this thing is not ideal, but here's the question: can we retrofit this to an existing design? Over here, where's my really stupidly annoying one that doesn't work very well? Yeah, I can't do you because you've got the rockets under the bottom. This sucker could actually benefit from having a little bit of a better landing, so let's pull in 22. No, not the 22. That's the lighter one. Actually, yeah, let's go with the 22, because that one's one that I've explicitly retrofitted, and I know it's already got power problems. I mean, if we're really going to screw around with something, let's really screw around with it. Alright. Oh, she's a-trying. There's the hover's kind of trying to kick in. What's gonna happen when she... That's nose first, actually, unfortunately. Keep forgetting I've got craft is designed the other way around. So we're on the ground. I can see that we are not actually touching the ground. The hovers are trying to hold it. It's a little weird. Big ones here, huh? Oh, boy. Okay, so this one's going to need a little bit of extra work, actually. Because to actually increase distance to cover that gun turret at the bottom. Okay, so that's the range we want. And we want to... Oh, yeah, that's a responsive slider there. Okay, so this is kind of your settings that you've got here. Altitude minimum is where you're going to be when you park. So this would be the case of, well, you don't want to put yourself too high or else you're not going to be able to get back in your ship. Altitude range, that's how far we're going to allow myself off this ground between here and when I'm at speed. And altitude regulation distance looks like it's kind of almost like the suspension in a ways. And the nice thing is, this aligns for gravity. So... having done that, how are we on? Oh boy. Just waiting for that at the collide there. That is... I'm gonna turn this into a hockey puck. Let's take off that. And then the other thing I'm also gonna do is, because again, we're designing something that does not need to fly at this point necessarily. Let's knock out all of the hydrogen thrusters that are pointing up. Okay, so I am now in a ship that has no hydrogen thrusters pointing or enabled that are pointing up. So you can see here, no tricks going on behind the scenes. All of these hydrogen thrusters that are pointing down are indeed off, which is great because that leaves me with some pretty nasty frontline acceleration here, and I'll probably even turn off the thrusters that are pointing down. Okay, so there we go. Ventral and dorsal thrusters are completely off, which means that fire this up. I'm going to stay cruising at a pretty decent altitude. Max speed, hit it. And there we go. Up into the air. That's not too bad. Considering that this was really intended to be more in space than an actual ground fighter of any kind, this isn't doing too bad. I've got stuff over there. And let's see what happens as we start coming back down. Power, and the hovers kick in. That is with me not doing any speed management whatsoever. That was a pretty sharp attack angle for coming in for a landing, too. So, yeah, this is surprisingly promising. I mean, the fact that I can sit here and kind of keep just a little bit of ground clearance going on, and yeah, with the wings mod, this is pretty good. Now, let's... You might be kind of saying, okay, well, what about sudden elevation changes? And I admit, I was kind of saying the same thing, too, when I was watching the video, and we're going to see what happens here. Okay, at that point, Keen takes over, and... yeah. Not quite good enough reaction there on that, I think. But that's still not too bad. It actually got further than I expected. Before it nosedived in, which is kind of interesting. I don't know what I... Yeah, it looks like I probably just nailed the antenna. Okay, no big deal then. Drop the underslung missile carrier, because that kind of negates the point of that. Alright, let's... And since I'm turning off so many engines, we're actually going to have more power here as a result. So what I'm going to do is actually go with the blues. I'm trying to get another one in here. And see if I can level her out a bit. Hopefully, as I'm coming down here, a little forward pitch on the nose. Yeah, she came down pretty good. Like I've said, I've got the hovers are currently on, and actually that's a problem that that's not inset. Let's go ahead and turn off downward thrusters first, so they're not taking up power, then our up. And now we are completely on the hovers. Also, interestingly enough, it looks like I have lost my altitude indicators, because, yeah, maybe if I get out, that breaks things. Why are you jumping around like that? Got rid of the rotor under there. That's the only... Oh, no, it is not the only rotor on this particular craft. Get out of there. Let's settle it down, or are you still jumping around? Now, the good news is, as soon as I get that back under control, let's... should be able to prop you up a little bit so I can get underneath you here. Yep, that's a bit of a problem. Let's see if we can go in and reverse onto it. Right into the ramp. Huh. Aha! But at least now you've got a creative way to display your stuff in flight if you want. Let's go ahead and refit some additional lift on there. And the other problem is that this end... Okay, don't kick me out from here like that, and stop dragging your butt in the ground. Don't act like you're not damaging it. I saw it, Keen. Yeah, close enough. Don't need something that's gonna... Really? Alright, fine. Just be able to up-armor the underside of it without the missile carrier. There we go. Okay, looks like you survived the back end okay. How are we looking? Roll off to the left. Some stable flight, possibly. Triangulation is excellent. I could throw some more large ones under here if I want to. And you know what? I think I am. Because after all, this is a combat ship. There we go. Now we're not bobbing around in the air. So the combat ship is the kind of thing that is going to come home shot up anyways. You're off center. That's driving me insane. Get out of the way. Use it properly. Now if I were doing this right to be a true warship level of hoverness, I would definitely be shielding these quite a bit better. These would be going up into the fuselage a bit. Okay, so down thrusters are off, up thrusters are off. All I've got are my back and forwards and my sides. Now my altimeter is back. 4, 5, pitch up. Yeah, they are definitely difficult to get off the ground, but once you're off the ground, it is about the same as before, which is pretty good. Not my most maneuverable craft, but the first one, and one that was inspired off of the shot rod. I can't complain. Let's see what happens when we try to go in a little low. The neat thing is that full speed landing. Nice. Let's see if we can... Actually, I know what I want to test on this. Before I get to that, let's get over to my favorite testing course. You have to remember, I don't have the down or the up thrusters on this, so I'm not as maneuverable as it was before. So you lose a little bit in that regards. she is going to have a tendency to swing wide, especially with the wings on it like this. But let's just kind of see what happens. Try to take her on a little bit of a trench run. Theoretically, this should make the craft a lot more adaptable to Nape of the Earth attacks. I mean, I could actually see the hovers being something that you turn off once you get off the ground, so that way they're not interfering with the normal flight, and then you can kind of flip them on as a safety mechanism here. Because, like, right here, I'm flying dangerously close. Look at that. That intercepted what should have been a complete catastrophe there. And now if I do this... Oh! Does it avoid the trees, actually? I mean, the biggest problem right now is it draws you back down to the ground. But at the same time, this is not something I could have done before. There is no way I could fly that close to the ground before. I mean, I could scrape the hills here and there, but... yeah, it was technically a tree strike. Probably not that great. Okay, yeah, nothing I can do about the trees, unfortunately. But wow. By that same standpoint, I should be able to do this. Go through some super rough terrain. On. Speed up here. Oh, that is sweet. If anything, what I'm tempted to do is... call it a little bit of a halt there. Yep. Okay, yeah, what you need is a little bit more help under the wings, I suspect. Just so you don't ground out quite as much. So probably put those on for insurance. Yeah, I just lost one of the back ones here, so let's put it down closer to where I would expect to see a tail strike. Got the mains up front so we're not going to be blowing those out constantly. So this should handle... oh, much better. That was definitely handling the... hitting ground at angles here a little better. This kind of changes everything right now, I gotta say that much. Because this is pretty dang slick. Just point at the ground and poof, instant landing. Oh, we're going off a cliff edge. Uh-oh, we're coming down to the ground. And down she goes. Beautiful. And with the changes over there to the wings, she's staying nice and level. Let's see. Let's give it the same test I tried to give the other design. What happens when we get close? Again, this could have been plane parts interfering with this too, so let's see if we can do an elevation change and maybe give it a little help this time. Okay, that was plane parts there. There's no mistake in that. Here's the beautiful thing. Let's come down at an angle. Okay, front did hit there. That's a little concerning, but the wing elements to level out definitely weren't going to be coming into play anytime soon there. Let's see if she'll stop a nosedive. Oh, like butter. Okay, let's see what happens when we do. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Keep her in the air. Oh, just a little bit of back scraping going on there. That's 128,000. Good lord. That's actually heavier than what I was testing before. Let's look at hover, because what I'm thinking I need to do is probably just up everything a little bit. Up the range. I do not want to give it too much more bounce range. That's pretty good, but let's bring our minimum up a bit. Try that cliff edge run again here. Crash test dummy test number 1. Okay, yeah, cliff edge is not so good at apparently, but how much did we lose on the? Oh yeah, well, it's based off the shock rod design, so it's surprisingly disaster resilient. What the? Keen? Okay. That's a lovely tree duplication bug. That's also some lovely bottom textures not properly handling themselves. Let's see what we got. Here's a nice big rock out in the open. Oh, yeah, she can't handle that. Okay, so the abrupt elevation changes aren't really going to give you much benefit. Now, I've probably lost about half the reactors on this craft. It is more maneuverable. And that tree did not glitch out to 1 million pieces. Good. Just to prove it. Yep, still airborne. And let's go ahead and actually, yeah, let's put all these in a group. So you can see I'm down half my large hovers at this point. And switch up. Ability to toggle those on and off. So at this point, I am now effectively. This would be like if I were trying to fly this without dampers on. I'm completely dependent on the wing mod to keep me aloft. I should be able to get pretty close here now and not run into any problems from doing Nape of the Earth flying. But still be able to cut them on and kill that off and just fall lazily down to, well, come on. This would be Flaps extended. Coming in for a landing. Little bit of a list from damage, probably. And we're down. And 4 meters. That's still not too bad. I mean, even with only dropped about 20,000 kilograms off that, so not too shabby, I have to say. And half of these aren't even technically applying. I mean, these guys won't kick in until the plane sinks a bit lower. So we're running off of 2 there, 2 large in the middle, and 1, 2, 3, 4 there. This actually, oh, interesting. That is picking up off the engineer. That is very interesting. If you don't mind, can we get this little... Actually, let's take this even to the point where, just to save a little bit of weight... Okay, so that is all the bottom-facing thrusters. What we're going to do is replace those. And the question is there going to be enough thrust on this to keep it going? And it's screwy right now because I don't have her pitched perfectly up. Now, this ship is not designed with lots of extra power in mind. So, yeah, it is going to be dangerously close there. I'm guessing the bouncing artifact is an indicator that, hey, you need a little more power here. Cancel that movement, please. Should be pretty darn close to being vertical. Alright, you're clearly not going to slow down any more than that, so... Crash padding. That's one way to safely stop a ship and align it perfectly up, actually. Now I'm looking at that. There's another particular use for if you want to align some stuff in your world to be perfectly perpendicular to another surface. There you go. Alright, so I need some... What I'm actually thinking is just actually nesting a layer of these like so. Okay, and then we need some more along the front for certain. This thing we don't have to actually put them in. Cannot put those there, huh? Tipping like that make me nervous. Maybe the front should be enough. How are we doing? 3. Let's see if we can hover. I mean, again, it's a smaller ship than, as far as most of my designs, so this kind of makes sense that we need to leave it a little more room there. And then the other trick is to save the hydro. We're going to knock out all of our upwards facing thrust. That's good. So we've only got front, left, back, and right. Yep, that is the case. Plenty of stuff there. So we have now converted this into land speeder. A not very fast turning or maneuvering land speeder, but not too bad. So you should go bobble there. Takes off relatively easy. Has everything you need to jump. That said, yeah, getting her back down into a landing. She starts getting moving. That's the tricky bit. Case in point. Okay, so you can still ding it up pretty badly if you're not careful. It looks like once you kind of start to get rid of the excess weight, things kind of even themselves out. No, back down to the ground, kiddo. Difficult to control the strafing on that one. That, I think, is more of an impact of the of plane parts. Bouncy as heck. Probably would benefit from having the larger hover thrusters on it. Hover engines, I should be saying. They're not really hover thrusters. They act like them, but not too bad. So, yeah, there's some merit to this design. And even just working with a really simple setup. I mean, if this were toting around a large reactor instead, I don't think I'd be having any problems with it. Oh, this could hurt. I like being able to do that snap up maneuver. You just punch it right across the chasms here. Okay, that's slightly less radical. Not having the sideways thrusters is kind of hurting me a little. I'm good at direction changes now because of it. Shoot for gap. Oh! There's a tree. I mean, this is now just running to see how long I can make it without hitting anything. That slowed me down a little bit. Come on. Yes, 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 yes. The leap of faith. Which is not much of a leap of faith at all when you've got wing parts on. That's just hilarious. Oh, man. No, I'm just floating in air. Slowly lose altitude here. A little bit of a corrective circle so that I can cancel out my movement. Because of course there's going to be a little bit of come on, go down, you. How are you staying aloft on these wings? I'm getting just enough movement out of them, I suspect. Automatically leveling out here from the hovers. So already at 200, we're just starting to get a little bit of an effect off of them. I mean, this is almost like having parachutes on, but far more steerable. Down we go. Alright, so. Now the question is, you're gonna handle me driving around like a madman down here. And how are you going to handle this coming up ahead? Oh, wow. Like a champ. I can think of at least 6 trees I should have hit by now. Again, mind you, I am at this point, I can't steer left or right, so I only have mouse steering effectively with the gyros. So that's all I'm doing. I'm trying not to actually take off, but that is a little bit of a problem. Every time you hit a bump, it does want to porpoise up out of control. That and obviously the directional turning is a problem without the side thrusters, but still surprised I'm just sucking down the power. Having Top Gear flashback from this here. This is Oliver here. And we're in the air, and uh-oh, main power's out. It's okay, she'll hold on her drift alone for quite a while. In fact, she's actually still gaining altitude. That's hilarious. Should start to drop any moment. Yep, there we go. Starting to lose it. See if she can survive this maneuver. Or this one, for that matter. Oh, this is a very pretty drift machine now. And look at that, because of the forward thruster, she's actually able to hold her own. Alright, let's get back down to the lake bed. Okay, that is a problem if you actually do want to ground the vehicle. She does take a little bit of damage, but... nothing too bad there. It looks pretty much solid shape, actually. Okay, we're good there. There, I think what I would do at this point is probably... there's not too much I can lop off here. Gyros in. So I've got rid of the front and the back, so now she's only got the two there. Let's also... oh, I don't like that lag. Get rid of... and dang it. That's one problem with the wings. Yeah, she's gonna dash herself into bits here in a moment. Look at that, max speed already. Let's see what happens. There we go, yep. Lack of power, finally did it. Yep, she's done, okay. Okay, so the question is, where do I stand with this mod at this point? My opinion is, not having even tested the large ship versions of these things, definitely approved. These came in extremely handy in doing tests with small fighters. Just a handful of those things in the bottom of the craft will definitely help you if you're trying to land something and make it look smoothly, even if you, for instance, have actual wheeled gears, like if you happen to have, say, you know, one of the plane suspension wheels on your plane, and you don't really feel all that safe trying to land on that, just slap a couple of those hover, you know, the hover blocks or hover engines on the bottom, and you've got a pretty good chance of being able to land safely, unless you do something really oblique, like trying to fly into a wall, or, you know, just drop it like an 80-degree angle into the ground. And that's just a case of common sense at that point. Other things that I like about that particular mod is it works really good for takeoff too. You do have to put a pretty consistent amount of force into taking off, you know, pulling back on the stick, so to speak. But wow, does that work well? That works incredibly well. So you've got a very smooth landing and takeoff mechanism here for your fighters now. Other things, you know, observations that I can make would be, I mean, just good grief. There's a lot that really kind of changes the game here when you start throwing in a hover mechanic like that. And it is really flexible. It's not overpowering in that you can indeed overload it and smack into the ground quite a bit. Because it's, you know, close to the bottom of your craft, you can indeed damage them pretty easily. They're not too easy to get, they're not too hard to get, because you need to have metal grids to do it. So you are going to have to go out hunting for a pretty decent supply of materials, but they're not too easily achievable in survival, but they're kind of mid-range-ish. So what I'm kind of curious to see is what happens if I take this stuff out into space. That's going to be a whole other realm of testing, and I don't think they're going to work very well at all, if at all, I should say, because these are indeed large, you know, they're hover engines, but they're Atmo hover engines. So these should not work in space unless we're talking down near the center of the planet. Now that would be kind of interesting. The hover engines around the core of the planet would be really interesting to see a take on. But that's a little tougher to test, and I still have the world, I believe, where I'm actually down in the planet core that I can test with. We'll find out. Anyways, guys, thanks for this little bit of a test. I thought it was kind of an interesting new take to some of the same old stuff that I've had sitting around. And yeah,